Where did you actually go to school?
Brigham, just across the road from the old Calvert Bridge. And I was barely 4 when I actually started there. About the only impression I have at that particular time was going to this school and having a slate put in front of me full of sand for forming the letters, which I promptly spilled all over the place. And after a year or so, we moved across into the main school and started in Standard 1. I can remember as one of the teachers, it was Miss Moses, and she was rather strict, to say the least. After that, we moved through to Standard 2, which is in another part of the school. And Mr. Matthew Dixon's, I remember there, who was rather brilliant with a piece of chalk. He never missed if you were not paying attention. Anyhow, I skipped Standard 3 and went right through to Standard 4, which was in the next room. And there it was pretty tough for many years. We had a gentleman called Mr. Watson, and he was rather rough, to say the truth. He used to get malaria, and when he had an attack coming on, he took it out on us poor boys. I remember once not knowing the number of his motorbike, so I got the cane for that. But the cane was used very, very much in those days. You had to be jolly careful, but by jingo you learned. And then I moved into the top classes, the 6 and 7. That was in the headmaster. He did that, Mr. Cowley. And I suppose it was just general lessons. I remember when I got to coming up to 13, it would be, Mr. Cowley said, well, I can't learn you anything more, so you'd better go and amuse yourself in the woodshed. And that's how I spent about the last of my 12 months at Brigham School.
Can you tell us anything that happened while you were working at Barget as a teenager, Frank?
Well, I think the most exciting one was when I got my first driving licence at 17. We had 2 old Ford T's vans at that time, and our head tailor wanted to go to Patterdale to measure for a suit. And he says, Frank, get the van out and take me. Well, at that time I'd never been on the road, other than driving the car just out of the garage. However, I was quite excited, and as you know, when you're 17, full of it. So I managed to get out somehow or other. I remember just to say missing the large pillars outside the county hotel and stopped with a jolt outside Barget's. Anyhow, we got in and we set off, and after a while I was able to keep it on the right side of the road. Fortunately, it was an event when one met another car. And so we progressed to and got the job done, came back safely, and I was really very pleased with myself.
About the mountain singers and your operatic groups?
Well, yes, the male voice choir was very much part of myself. I joined in 1928, and apart from the war years, including the war years, actually, I was just over 70 years with the choir. A very good choir in the early days. We won several musical festivals, including Newcastle, Carlisle, Workington, etc. Also, I was very keen on the operatic. That was before the war, actually. I didn't join after the war, but that was very good, and taken in the pavilion. The pavilion was a marvellous place in those days. Everything took place, dances, all the various people had dances there, the cooperative. I remember they gave a suite of furniture for a first prize in the whist drive, and there'd be at least 400 or 500 at the whist drive in those days. It was very, very keen.
Can you tell us what you know about the Albion Hall?
Well, yes, it was a great place, the Albion Hall. All the young people of Keswick used to attend. On Tuesdays it was sort of a general club night, table tennis and cards, various things. And Saturday was the Saturday night hop, we used to call it, 6pence a dime, including hot pies made by Mrs. Ramsden. And everybody went, everybody learned to dance there, and we had some wonderful evenings, supervised very closely by Lady Rochdale and Mrs. Dr. Burnett. And altogether, that was one of the places in Keswick, was the Albion.